So yeah, man. First and foremost, it's imperative to say thank you. Um,
Of
I
course.
know we run in a lot of close circles, and obviously, we're doing a lot of similar things. There's a lot of similarities in the stuff that we do, but generally, when I look for people like for covers of the magazine, or really even just to be a part of the magazine, like I'm looking toward the people who I feel like inspire me and kind of keep me pushing and make me want to do more.
Yeah.
And I know that I think I've been vocal, just in the past, just in terms of the way I feel that you inspire me. But I really just want to reiterate that again, because there's a lot that you're doing. Like, there's a lot that you're doing that I probably never even considered being done, period.
Wow.
Like, not even, I mean, whether it was me or whether it was anybody else. So, like, there's a lot of things that I look at now that I only look at because I've seen you do these things, or we've talked about these things, or just I think that I've been able to see a lot more of like the power that we have,
Mm-hmm.
not not just within ourselves, but just as independent media. And
Mm-hmm.
like, that's a huge thing. And not to diminish anything, or to make it seem like I think I really haven't done anything,
Mm-hmm.
because I know that, like, even like on my trajectory and the path that I've gone and traveled and all of that jazz, like, a lot of this I was gonna say a lot of the shit, but yeah, a lot of the shit that I've done, like, I've been a one man band,
Right.
like, for 20 years. Like, I've been a one band, like, it's been me, like a one man band.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these people, from the smaller cats to like the major cats that I've spoken to, like, I done got to these people, like, I done got to these people myself. And
Mm-hmm.
I think there's an unspoken power in being independent and doing it yourself,
Yeah.
uh, as opposed to being a part of a team. And not saying that a team is wrong, is bad,
All right.
but I think that a lot of what I've done, I absolutely would not have been able to do if I was working for the Paramounts,
Right.
or the BETs, and not even discrediting them, because I mean, I've done stuff with BET and Centric and like all of that stuff, but
But
kind
you.
of being on my own, and kind of being put in a position where I just have to figure it out myself,
Yeah.
like, it's really allowed me to move a lot further. And I see a lot of that in you and everything that you have and what you have done. And I feel like, media wise, like, you're like the power within the city. Like, a lot of people are really looking up to you. So that really was like, a lot of my reasoning and reaching out to you and wanting you to do this, and really just wanting people to kind of hear your story, because, like, I look at the posts and I see a lot of the stuff that you talk about, and just a lot of where you may be discredited, or where people are just not really paying attention to what you're doing. And I mean, I saw something probably yesterday or the day before yesterday, and I'm like, it's a lot on this dude's mind. Like,
Mhm.
I'm like, it's a lot on this mind. And I just think that there's a story behind it that
Definitely.
that people need to hear, more so to be able to see that they can do not even just this, but that they can do what they want to do.
Yep.
Um, so thank you. Like, I really appreciate it. I really appreciate what you do, and I know you bust your ass to get the good product out there. So I appreciate that. I really want you to just kind of start off with why media, like, why media, and when did you realize that, okay, this is what I should be doing, this is where I'm going?
Yeah. I would say it was never intended to be media. It was always intended to be a career extender, if I would say.
Okay.
I started off hosting in 2018. Uh, in kind of managing an artist a little bit, but I realized that managing people wasn't me. And
what,
I've always
before you take that further, what did you not like about managing? Because I kind of did it a little bit too for probably about a year or two.
I hated it all. I don't like depending on anybody, obviously, but
Right.
I definitely don't like depending on somebody to like basically make my career, make or break my career. So it was just
Absolutely.
like, or like having to switch people if they don't want to work. It was like, it was just for me. I just seen I could work harder,
Yeah.
and after that, I was like, all right, I'd rather just put it in behind myself than put it behind people who do want to work hard, but only want to work hard when they feel like it. And I don't really got time for that.
Absolutely.
Absolutely not.
And keeping it funky, that's kind of where I am. Like I can't babysit. I can't babysit. And I know how hard I've worked to not only be able to do what I'm doing, but to be where I am.
Yep.
And I always had that feeling when I only managed one guy.
That's all
And
it takes. That's
all,
all
I,
it takes.
I had that feeling like in the process that he gonna fuck up everything that I have built.
Man,
Because he don't really have
you don't get it.
he don't really have the hustle that I have and like
Yep.
the will to just I'm tired, but I need to get the fuck up and get out there because this is what needs to be done.
Exactly. Exactly. And it was, yeah, that basically was it. And then when I started hosting, I just started studying the game and like how they last longer. And then from there, kind of, I've always been a Charlemagne the God fan, uh, but I wouldn't necessarily I didn't know what media was. I would say, but I knew he did interviews, or the Breakfast Club did interviews every day or every other day, and they would put it on YouTube. But I knew that they were a radio station, so I was like, "Oh, that's media." Um, Basically, talking to people and giving them like the news or giving them like insight on people, and then like maybe in your city, you kind of post about what's going on, or if you're in, if you're like I was already hosting a lot of stuff, so I was already trying to support people. So I used to throw, probably if you look at the TKN media page, the story's always pretty consistent. That was basically my main page for a while. So like
Right.
that's what my main page looked like. Me just supporting everybody, trying to show love. And I was like, man, I can't even get off what I be saying because I be trying to show love so much.
Right. Right. Right.
So from there, it just grew. It just continued to grow. I I don't know exactly where you want me to go because it didn't start actually getting to media till 2022.
Okay.
Because I was podcasting, but I didn't really add the media part to it till the end of 2021, early 2022, when I realized that podcasting and media are kind of two different mediums.
Absolutely.
And there's like not, but like now over the last 2 years, podcasts have become kind of like media
It kind
space.
of has become a little bit of the media, but it still is as separate entities
It's
though.
just still a separate entity. So from there, I just kind of branched it off, and I was able to like start getting like red carpet events and like movie, uh, grand openings, movies, things like that. So I was letting people know what was going on, but I was also booked for them. So it
Right.
was like a double thing. Like
Yeah.
I'm here already, so I'm going to like record what's going on.
Right.
That kind of turned it into like a what's going on in the city type of thing, or what's going on around town or in Ohio. So I would say that's where the TKN media kind of extended, but that also extended my reach very well because
Right.
I was able to support a lot more people faster, and
Absolutely.
and it, make them feel it integrated with the podcast very well.
Yeah, I think that there's the people who have been able to, the people who have been blessed to watch your platforms and to see what you have done, like over even just the last 5 years. Like I think that there's a lot of education, within that.
Absolutely.
A lot of ways where you've kind of been able to show people really how to do it. Like all the way funky. When I met you at the movie premiere last year, like I was not into YouTube at all.
Really?
Um, I just wasn't really into it, and I didn't really see. I guess I didn't really see the importance of it.
Mm.
Until I really saw, like, I saw you on there, and then I know that like you would be posting your numbers like every week, and I'm like, damn, like this dude is really growing, like he's really growing. And then it kind of made me start digging and kind of doing a little bit of the research on YouTube and just
Mhm.
seeing, obviously how you can grow, but how you can monetize it
Yeah.
and just the different features of it. And that kind of was how I got like my education behind it.
Wow.
Um, I did have a YouTube page before that, but I never did anything with it. So I mean,
Mm.
it's kind of the same thing as, I mean, I have, and what I have now is not the original page that I had. So the original page that I had, I mean, I got a ton of interviews on that motherfucker, but I
Really?
never really did anything with it, and I never really pushed them in a way that obviously it needed to be pushed until I
Right.
really saw kind of what can be done. And to be able to see somebody kind of in your face and like in your city and kind of in your space
Yeah.
that's doing it, it kind of opens your eyes, to be able to see. I mean, obviously I could see people all over the world that's doing YouTube, but
Right.
I just didn't really
Just
pay
really
attention
work.
to it.
So.
So then that kind of lets you know, hopefully that kind of gives you an idea or more of an idea of the influence that you have and like the true reach that you have. Like you're
Mhm.
actually reaching people right here in the city and showing them, whether
Mhm.
you realize it or not, how to do this and
Mhm.
how to move forward. So I think there's a lot of people who are, likely grateful for what it is that you do, with your network and the pieces that you put out there. And then I've been able to see, obviously, as I would say, as of like the last year or so, you've been doing a lot more hosting.
Yeah.
Um, and you just hosted the award show last week. Like,
Mhm.
what is that like for you now to actually be doing like that type of hosting and hosting award shows and like
The plan worked. Because the original plan was to find something to get me more hosting gigs, bigger hosting gigs, more gigs that paid well. That was the original goal. Like, how do you be a host full time? Like, what do you do? And then that's kind of turned into, okay, you got to get behind or you got to get somewhere in the media space.
right,
And then from there, it just turns into turn into a personality, and then that personality can get booked for different events. So it was like I already had the skill set of hosting. I was already hosting for 2 years before I even podcasted at all. So I was already prepared for that, and um, that was the plan. So it worked, and it's working, but it's also like it became so much bigger than it working. Like again, like I wanted longevity um in the hosting space, but now I prefer what I do more than hosting for sure.
yeah.
For sure.
No, I do think that is really dope. Where do you really see where do you see it going like beyond where things are right now? Like obviously, with more hosting, but what more do you see for the TKN network?
Man, we're like the Oprah Winfrey Network, man. We're truthfully, man. Uh I don't think we're doing anything new under the sun. I think we're doing something that maybe hasn't necessarily been done in Cleveland in this generation yet. But man,
But that's the thing though, is like what you have is what we need in Cleveland. Like
yeah,
like we like
I
we
think every
like we
generation needs that person or needs that anchor, that platform to help not only the people in the area but help other platforms grow. I, I don't know if a platform would be bigger than mine, but that's younger than me. But uh there will be a platform that comes that eclipses what we do. And for that, it's the blueprints. It's understanding the blueprints that are like in life. So like I like do a lot of studying and reading and stuff. But I want to make my blueprint so simple that you can literally watch it. That's why I wasn't afraid to post numbers early, because I was like, well, if I'm gonna do it, I'd rather have the journey be seen, because I know I'm not a quitter, than me try to hide it and fake it, and then I'm just big one day and they're like, what the hell? Like what? And so I really wanted to, and I really wanted to prove when I got started that you can make it from the city, because a lot of people told me you couldn't when you first
Absolutely,
started.
absolutely.
You know, you got to move away, you got to do this, you got to do that. The people in the city ain't gonna support you. The people in the city ain't gonna get behind you. So I really put it on the city to get behind me without saying it. I was like, I'm gonna give you the work. I'm gonna put the work in. I'm gonna go talk. I'm gonna go record. I'm gonna put it out. I just need y'all to eventually get behind this shit. And they did, and they are, and they are consistently getting more and more to where it's getting out of the city, out of the state, out of the, you know, out of the country. We're in 10 countries now, so it's just
Yeah,
truly a something that has legs. And that was another thing I was looking for. I was looking for something that gave me that feel that football gave me, something
right.
that gave me hope in life, and not just a job or just like another, like trying to go back to school for a degree again. Like I didn't want to do all that. I wanted to find something that that I could be passionate about, and that
Absolutely,
can be impactful to the world when I'm gone and when I'm here. So that's kind of
absolutely.
for sure.
I think that like you you made a good comment just in terms of like support within the city.
Yeah.
That kind of has been, I mean, that really has been the talk really for a lot of years. That
Yeah.
obviously, like you got to get up out of here and you got to go somewhere else, and the city really doesn't support you. And I think that is kind of synonymous with a lot of cities that you go to.
Yep.
So it's not even just a here thing, but if you're living somewhere else or whatever, it always seems like it's a little bit easier for you to get that support elsewhere.
Well, I think
So
two things. I think it's two things, right? I think it's knowing your market and your audience. So like maybe your people are just broke or just young, and they really can't support you all like that. And they,
absolutely,
and they really do want to, and then when they get their money they will, but you haven't given them enough time for them to even give them a chance. And you don't know no better because you don't know. Um,
absolutely,
and then I think too, it's there's no money flowing in the city like that.
right,
Like bigger cities like California, Atlanta, like I know Atlanta. I know New York. Like these markets are forever getting influxes of cash just put in them, whether it's sponsorships with major companies, whether it's partnerships with major athletes, actors, rappers, musicians, whatever that generates. I mean, even Colorado, you look at Deion Sanders, he generated 27, 30 million just off the home games alone in Colorado for the
right,
inner city market. Like that's the stuff we need, like to where it generates the cash flow for people to go spend money. Because in media, especially with these events and these people, it's not enough money. It's not enough money being made. It's not enough money being fluctuated. It's hard for artists to get people to keep coming out and paying. So it's like it's not really it's not really people's fault. It's if you get mad at the people, you're
right,
not really understanding the real problem.
right. Well, I
So
think a lot of it too, like you said, and like you really started off, is knowing your market,
knowing your market,
and
man,
then obviously, with your brand, like sometimes you have to do things to make it more easily accessible. you know,
Yes.
to the people that you're reaching out to.
Yes.
Um, and to me, that's really a lot of it. Knowing your market and then making it, you know, easier for people to really access it. And, you know, the fact that you spent a lot of time out here, you know, obviously within the city and
Mm-hmm.
supporting everybody else
For
and
free.
building your name. I think that's a lot of, you know, really what it really took for you.
Yeah, no, it matters because, and I was talking to actually Johnny Filmworks about this, and he was talking about like just the level, the amount of commitment people have after they see you, and
Right.
after they feel an in person conversation because it's lacking so much in this world right now, and the willingness for the individual who is actually owning for them to go speak is even lower now because a lot of CEOs are introverts and they're really good at what they do, but they don't go out and talk to nobody.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
the restaurants where the owner comes out and says thank you for being here does better. It's
And
just
that matters. Like
and it
that
matters. It matters.
matters. Like I just went to my sister's running for judge. So
Good
I
luck.
went to an event of hers at Air Air Lounge on
Yeah, yeah,
Broadway. And like before we could really get in the door good and really get out, like the owner was walking around like,
yeah. Yeah.
how you doing? This is my name. This is my
This is my
establishment. This
building.
is what
Yep.
we do. We're glad to have you here. And like that type of thing, it matters.
It matters.
Yeah.
It matters. So yeah, it's definitely interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, when you came into this, like, did you have an idea? Like, obviously, people need to have some kind of a takeaway. You know, when
Mhm.
they have to have something tangible that they can take away when they're, you know, looking at your content. Like, did you have an idea coming into this? What you felt like you wanted people to be able to take away from it?
Oh yeah, gyms and motivation. I feel like it's vice versa. So, like, um, just going to classes and like reading stuff, you realize like you make stuff for like a problem you're facing, or a problem a society's facing, or a problem that your past self was facing. So, like, my past self was facing, I needed a place like a voice. I was trying to look for my voice. I was trying to look for I needed something. I had something to say, and I needed somewhere to say it, and I didn't have it.
Right.
Um, and I just think it evolved into that for other people now.
Right.
So it's a place where they can come in and they know that they can get off whatever they need to get off. They know that people are gonna tune in and see, and they're gonna and the audience is gonna know them a little differently than what they've seen them as. And I think for that, for me, it was always about motivation, and it was always about inspiring people to keep going. So like everybody I sit down with, I try to give them some more motivation, some more. Like everybody can't give game, so sometimes you got to just give your story, and that could be in the story has game in it, and you don't even know it. But you
Absolutely. Absolutely.
listen to it, and you giving yourself game and motivation to keep going. So it was really about like I knew I wanted to do this for a long time. I watched people come back to the Breakfast Club and update Charlemagne and them and Angela Lee Yee and really grow. Like I like specifically Kevin Hart. Like from the first time he went on there to now when he goes on there, it's just two completely different people. But
Absolutely. Absolutely.
you can watch 8 years of his growth through that channel, through that
Absolutely.
platform, through that, and then you can go off and be a fan of his. But you could always come back and get the game he was given through those interviews in there. But he was
Absolutely.
also laughing, joking, enjoying himself. But that's kind of the feel I always wanted. I always wanted to feel of important people having a chance to say stuff that they normally can't say, get off what they need to get off, and
That part.
and continue to motivate and inspire other people, and then come
Absolutely.
back. And we're gonna keep supporting you as you leave, and when you come back, you're gonna update us again, and we just gonna keep motivating. It's gonna be this motivating, positive energy, and it's just gonna be annoying to some people, but to everybody else, it's gonna be so amazing because we don't have anybody who's really just trying to support them and don't need nothing. So.
That part right there. And that, that really speaks a lot to what I try to do with my platforms. Like my biggest thing, with the time that I've been in media and the people that I connect with and whomever I interview and all of that sort of stuff, like my biggest goal out of it has been to like build the genuine relationships.
Yep.
So that again, I can have these people on multiple times and you can kind of see like the growth and the trajectory,
Mm-hmm.
kind of see their path and how they were when they first came on versus how they are and where they are now in their careers. And then for them to know that, like you said, they have somebody who's supporting them who really don't need nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not really like I'm not supporting you just because you got a project out. Right. Or just because you're releasing this album or you got this movie coming out, like
right,
I'm bringing you on because like there's a genuine relationship and I really give a fuck and I like I obviously I'm asking questions and I want to know what's going on, but it's coming from a genuine place, like where we really have a relationship built. Yep. That's kind of been one of my biggest blessings, and I think that I think you're very successful in that. But then even just as far as kind of going back to the takeaway, like people are really taking away like that motivation, like pretty much any interview that I watch that you do, like the person comes on and I'm actually hearing their story, we're hearing the ups, we're hearing the downs, we're hearing what happened and how they were able to come back from that. And that's what people need to be able to see, to be able to move forward in their own dreams.
Everybody got something they're going through or something they went through that
absolutely
could have just stopped everything.
Absolutely.
So you're not special, but you are. You're special as hell, but you're not special because everybody got to keep going. That's
absolutely.
Sure. And that humbles me too, because when I go through a lot of stuff, I don't really speak on it personally because I just understand everybody going through something. Everybody's going through something. Now, when I get through it, I may say something like a post or something that just keeps me human. I don't want people thinking like I'm a robot or like which I am trying to get all this shit automated. But I
mean that's everybody, man. But people need to be able to see that like you real. Like
exactly.
That again, like you said, like you're not a robot.
Like I
you're human.
Even though I'm on top.
Yeah, like you're human and shit happens. And I mean you digging through it just like everybody else is. But I mean, obviously I think you do an amazing job. Taking it back to your past self, because you talked a little bit about your past self and kind of what your goals were. Like, do you feel like you have given your past self that voice that you were really yearning to have?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. Now globally, no, not yet. And that was always my plan. It was never about the city, and that's what people kind of don't get about me is I never wanted to be the hottest in the city. I just knew I had to be for whatever time for people to get that I wasn't running from the city. But it wasn't about being the biggest in the city. It was about respecting what I do over here and respecting the lane that I'm trying to create for myself. And I've done that. And I've done that kind of, I wouldn't say more than I thought, but I would say prior to the true blow up, more impactful than I thought it was going to be, quicker. So, people recognizing me, people recognizing the brand, but it's still being very local and still being conducive to Ohio mostly. It is truly, I would say, astonishing because I be feeling like I got like 50,000 followers, when I really got like 5 here, 5 there, 8. You know what I'm saying? Like, but like the impact feels like 50,000 when like
Yeah.
a random person I've never met says, "Man, I seen you had da 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 on there," and it's like, wow, like I got 20 more. Like
Listen,
I'm about to drop 20 more, so come on.
nah, you know what? As far as that, and I mean, we can have a whole another conversation about these numbers and what you see on people's social media pages and all of that.
Oh man,
I still have yet to believe that anybody with these millions of followers genuinely have that many
right,
followers, especially these musicians and the artists, who
right,
seemingly have 2 and 3 and 10 million followers, but they sell 2,000 copies. Like,
yeah,
um, it's a lot to be said about those numbers, but I think that your work speaks for itself, and what we see, and obviously the accolades that you get, and then the different opportunities that you have coming your way are really are really kind of the proof of the
mhm,
reach that you have, and the people that you are definitely connecting with and teaching, and the people who are growing from your platforms. And to me, that's the ultimate goal, is for somebody to be able to consume it and then take something away from it that's really going to help them, in their career or in their path or
mhm,
whatever it is that they feel like they want to do.
yeah,
Um, what does the next 5 to 10 years look like for the network, for you?
yeah. So I would say expansion on all areas. I've mastered the interview style and podcasting that I love. So that's like that was always the anchor, the foundation that I wanted. The next 5 years is just about um, ownership and expansion. So owning um, investing in all the equipment and the rental space, and being able to produce as much content as we literally want, whether that's uh, um, not even whether that's when we develop just the different IPs, different shows we're gonna do, developing educational um, courses, classes, webinars. I don't know if the next 5 years I'll have my book out, but I'll be writing a book in that time. We'll be doing the the three biggest areas of improvement that we want to do is um, IPs, so just more original shows, events, so just um, promoting and putting on very quality podcasting events for the space in Ohio, and really building a fan base, and then merch. That's our three big ones. Really designing really cool stuff. Like this is always going to be our bread and butter, our foundation.
Yeah.
Really expanding, like getting the Browns colors in there, getting the Cavs colors in there. Like really working with designers, and just really building these things out, having a full a full business within podcasting, being out, truly the premier network of Ohio, in a space of where we're just producing the most content on a regular basis.
Right. I mean, essentially, you are already, but I get what you're saying with
Well,
that.
there's two other people who produce more content than I do, but they have a strategy that we've talked about that it makes sense that how they wanted to do it. It makes sense. It makes sense that they can put out a little bit more. But now, like, what learning what we both learned from each other, like they're doing more shorts. I'm adjusting on the short term, on the short long form content. It's just about how you present things and how you put it out. So
Absolutely.
I wouldn't say they necessarily have more content than I do, but they had a better strategy of how
Gotcha.
they put it out consistently. And so for me, it's about testing the market, testing things, how I'm putting stuff out, who I'm sitting down with, developing better relationships, expanding, learning, growing. That's five. That's my next five for sure. I'll make my first million in my next 5 years. Um, but it'll be it'll happen in a way where like it'll be a stepping stone to something I'm trying to do. So I'll make it, but it won't even feel like I make it. I already know because when I made my first couple thousand, I made it and I didn't feel like I made it because I was just putting it right back into it. So,
Right. And
so
that's usually how it goes. Is as you start making money, it really just goes back into the business.
exactly. So
Yeah.
hopefully I make my first liquid million in 5 years. That's I know I'm a profit a million though, for sure. Because
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I understand content, and if I work events and merch, if I do it right, I'll gross a million through all three of those. But that's not saying I'll have liquid $1 million.
Right. 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 Are you happy with where you are right now? Considering that, kind of when you got started, like a lot of this really was not, it really wasn't the plan, or it really
So
wasn't the intention, so to speak.
I am 1,010% happy where I am now. If you would ask me 2 months ago, I would have said no. Even after I won, I wasn't really happy. I was happy because of other things. I wasn't happy necessarily of the win made me happy for sure, but I'm happy now because I know what I need to do. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know who to study. But then I realized 2 months ago that nobody did. Like independent podcast networks are literally 2 and 4 years old now. Like
Right. Right.
I like study like Colin Coward, like ET, like they all have networks, but all their networks are like 3 years old, 3, 4 years old,
Right.
and they partner with like an iHeart who's been here for 20 years. You know
Absolutely.
what I'm saying? And it's like at the end of the day, they didn't even necessarily know if this was going to work like this, and
Absolutely.
how much money was going to be poured into content and podcasting as a whole. So I'm reading partnership agreements and deals that happened in 2021, like
Absolutely.
literally $1 million deals on podcast network that happened in 2021. I mean, $1 million worth of game 2021. Like it was all just happening. So for me, I'm just so happy with myself that I just kept going, and that I realized that there was a booming industry about to happen, and I could be one of the leaders in the city, and understanding the importance of being a leader in a city and not thinking so globally that you be like, well, I gotta move or I gotta do this, or oh, I ain't gonna be shit because I'm only known in the city. Like, no, being a the reason why I feel like people really gravitate and really see why what I'm doing is I really valued, really valued being um consistent in the city and being consistent um with a a and I established a brand. Um, Most people don't know how to establish a brand, and
Absolutely.
I didn't even know I knew how to establish a brand. I just went to business school, so I just picked up a few things, and that's just the truth of all truth. Once I started really studying branding, I was like, oh, I'm doing half of this stuff, but I didn't even know I was doing half of this
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, but that be the difference, like the banners, the t-shirts.
Hmm.
Even before it becomes merch, just wearing them everywhere. I mean, to the point where girls I was dating was like, you gotta start wearing that shirt. I was like, what are you talking about?
Right.
Like,
Right. 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 Right.
stop wearing this shirt. Every time I wear this shirt, I get in somewhere for free. Like, it doesn't, like, it's literally advertisement,
Right.
so uh but yeah, so I mean, I'm gonna have my first billboard in the next 5 years, like all of those things that just for me, I've all like a radio advertisement on GM. Like some things are just things I want to do. Like I want a billboard right downtown on not downtown, but like right on Euclid, like right where I grew up, right around where I grew up. I want one
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I want a radio, a podcast specific radio ad on Z on 7.9 because I
When I
get
tell you, man, like that's when I tell you, like that was one of the best feelings. We did a billboard for Transcending, and
Mhm.
that was like one of the best feelings because I feel like I worked towards getting a billboard for probably 5, 6 years, like trying to
Yeah.
figure this out, trying to pull the money together, pay for the
Literally,
people. Yeah,
literally.
yeah. No, I think that's really really dope, man. In terms of like ending comments, like what do you want the takeaway to be from the conversation today?
Uh, I would say this. One, um, go check out the KingTifNetwork.com. The KingTif Network uh, is a place where you will find motivation, you will find consistency, uh, you will find new faces that you may never seen, but all have amazing stories. Uh, and ultimately, what people to take away from this is that you can do what you want and you can develop what you want, and you don't need anybody to agree with you about it.
Right.
I've had times where I've had, beefs with my own father. I've had beefs with some of my friends, um, because I truly want to do it a certain way.
Right.
And when you truly want to do it the right way and do it a certain way, people will not like it. They will not
Yeah,
like
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely,
they will absolutely not like it, and they will try to
absolutely,
fight you on why it's not the best way to do it. Well, what I really want people to take away from this, and this is me getting off some stuff off my chest, what I really want people to take away from this is if they really don't want you to do it for sure then. Because at
absolutely,
the
absolutely,
end of the day, it's most likely their fears that's stopping you, that you want that they want you to stop, and it's probably for you then. Um,
absolutely.
I know most of the time when something is presented in my life, I'm not talking about stuff that's not presented in your life. That's the stuff that's presented in my life that people come up or people be like, man, I don't know. And where I'm like, I don't know, but it just presented itself. And then I do it, it turns into the biggest things I've ever done. So
Absolutely.
never be afraid to take yourself, and you're gonna lose friends, you're gonna lose people, you're gonna have people that you thought was gonna support you and are absolutely not, and you're gonna find random people that support you and you don't know why, but that is okay. Embrace it, develop. Do not be the same person you was a year ago. I truly put all my stake in learning and development. If I learn and develop, I don't need now one relationship
Mhm.
that's going to anchor me, because my development in myself and my knowledge can anchor me.
That
And
part.
from there, I can just have really good relationships with really good people. I don't have to feel like I need a relationship because I know I have the knowledge that whoever wants to work with me, whoever I feel like I work with, we're gonna win. So
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's kind of what I want to take what people. Yeah, just man,
Listen,
be willing.
listen, man. I think it's all amazing. I think it's beautiful. I think that what you have is beautiful. Again, like I'm grateful to you for all it is that you do, and obviously the self development and everything that you're doing to make yourself better, to put together the platform that you have. That's ultimately kind of teaching me, teaching me my way, and helping me grow
That's
and
dope.
things. Um, I think that, and really, even just saying as Black people, like I think that we don't thank each other enough. And we don't thank each other enough. We don't really shout each other out enough. We don't really say when we're really getting something or taking something away
Yeah,
from what somebody else is doing. And
and it's okay to
it is. It is
give
absolutely okay
credit.
to.
Definitely give
Absolutely.
credit. Give
Absolutely.
credit.
Absolutely. All the time. It's definitely okay to like it's imperative if you're gonna
It's
be out
imperative.
here and you're gonna sustain in this business, like
Yep.
you have to be able to say, who's helping you
Yep.
and who you're learning from and who you're taking away from. So I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you doing this feature. I think this is gonna be amazing. And what you're doing, like, is bar none. Like, I think this is one of the best things to happen for the city. Like, I wish that there was somebody like you around probably 15, 20 years ago, like when I was really stepping into media
Wow.
and, trying to figure a lot of stuff out. And I mean, as somebody who's doing it, doing the same thing, like I just was able to kind of learn and figure a lot of things out for myself over the years. But it's good to be able to see, somebody that comes before you or somebody that is also out there. So I appreciate what it is that you have. I see nothing but big for this. Like to me and for me, it's like it's a whole nother thing to be able to create your own platform and you don't have to depend on the bigger networks
Yeah.
and like you doing your
They gotta
network and
come to
you not
us.
having to depend on like the Clear Channels or Viacoms or for the iHearts.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, obviously everybody's launching podcast networks, but then they're anchored by iHeart. So like there's a big chunk of the work that the person that owns the network is really not doing because they're, anchored by this big company.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same with me building this radio thing and like I just want to do it myself. Like I don't want to be
You're right.
anchored by anyone else. So like I love and appreciate what it is that you're doing out there and like you are inspiring so many people. So thank you for everything that you do, man.
Well, thank you. Let me take this picture real quick. Let them know we was here real quick.
I could have sent you a screenshot, man.
That's better, cause then they know something coming.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I appreciate you, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sir.
All right, peace.